Have you ever wondered how and if private investigators can conduct executive protection? In this video, I will take a deep dive into how private investigators use things like covert investigations, threat assessments, and digital surveillance to provide protective services. First, really quick, if you want to see more videos on topics like this, go down and hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hype it if you think other people will enjoy it too. When you think about a CEO or other high-ranking corporate individual security, you probably usually see some big, bulky, muscle-building, gun-toting bodyguard wearing a dark suit and dark glasses, don't you? I have been in the private investigations profession now for nearly 2 decades, and I am here to tell you that the Hollywood version of EP, executive protection, is not always about being bigger than the bad guys. In fact, it really comes down to being smarter than the bad guys, and that is why so many top executives hire private investigators to help ensure they are safe. You see, what most people don't realize is that oftentimes the bulk of the executive protection actually happens long before the client ever leaves their house, long before they ever book the plane tickets, the rental cars, and the hotel rooms. This video is sponsored by OREP Insurance and Working PI Magazine. OREP is a leading provider of private investigator liability insurance. Visit orep.org for a quote today. Now, don't get me wrong, the bodyguards do play a vital role in executive protection, to be sure, but the bodyguard's role is often a reactive role. They are the physical shield trained to respond to physical threats. They see a punch coming, they block it. They see an exposed gun, they shield their client. They hear a commotion building, they hustle their client off to safety. Those are definitely vital and necessary skills, but that is the last line of defense, not the first. When clients hire a private investigator to assist with executive protection, they are looking at it from a proactive rather than a reactive standpoint. How do we, as private investigators, do this? Well, quite simply, we shift the focus from protecting the client's body to protecting the client's entire world. We need to look at the assignment from an intelligence standpoint. Oftentimes, this starts with counter-surveillance on our client's business, our client's assets, and even sometimes on their family members. Watching to see if someone is watching is the first major line of defense that we can put into place. If someone is looking to do harm to our client, based on my experience and from many investigations I have studied in some major cases all around the world over many decades, most people looking to do harm to someone will do some form of surveillance or recon on their subject of interest. Doing counter-surveillance is a lot like doing actual surveillance, but the goal is to watch for suspicious people doing surveillance. And who better to do this than a surveillance investigator? After all, they know the best places and the best times to do surveillance, and they know how to stay covert, and they know all the great surveillance tricks in the book. One of the biggest skills that they have, though, is patience. They know how to sit still for hours. They know how to watch everything and how to watch everyone. And they know how to not react when they see something suspicious. You see, most people would think if you see something suspicious, you need to act on it. You need to eliminate the threat then and there. But in counter-surveillance, much like regular surveillance, you need to gather intel and evidence, and you need to get as much of it as you can. That is why most counter-surveillance jobs, especially those related to executive protection cases, can go on for many days or even weeks or months in some cases. But counter-surveillance only goes so far. It can't see what threats may lay out there in the digital world. And we always conduct some form of OSINT or open source intelligence investigation on our client too. But in these cases, it is not to dig up dirt on our client. Rather, it is to find out who else is trying to dig up the dirt on our client. We are reverse engineering the investigation to the point of where we are looking for who is publicly talking about our client in a negative or a threatening manner. This type of OSINT, open source intelligence investigation, takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, and some special training when it comes to searching and sifting through all of the data available out there on the internet. This is especially true when it comes to high-profile clients like politicians or movie stars or famous musicians and the like. There are plenty of nutcases out there all of the time looking to put someone in their right place and end up saying the wrong thing on the internet. But every one of those potential threats needs to be followed up on. You need to find out who that person really is, what they are really capable of, and if the perceived threat is real or just them blowing off smoke. That is where a private investigator's background investigative skills come into play in an executive protection matter. They have the ability and the data access to go deep into a person's criminal and civil legal history, as well to see where they have lived, who they're associated with, past and present, and other detailed information about that person should they become a person of interest. Once they hit that level, a person of interest, well, then they may end up on the BOLO, be on the lookout list for the counter-surveillance investigators and the bodyguards to keep an eye out for. Now, I have seen cases where hundreds of people were on the immediate BOLO list, but that doesn't mean they're all out to do harm to the client. It just means that they may be up to no good if they are observed near the client. Politicians see this all the time with hecklers and the like. Once they are identified, they can quickly be removed from the premises, and then they will remain on that BOLO list. Now, another area where we are often employed is in securing a physical site for the client. If they are coming into town on business, they will have us go ahead of time and do a TSCM, technical surveillance countermeasure sweep of their hotel room, meeting rooms, and even rental cars. Then, after they are done with business, we may go back to those locations and do a secondary sweep to see if anything had been introduced during the meetings. In today's world, it is so easy to introduce eavesdropping devices just about anywhere at any time. And the technology is making these devices smaller, blend in better, and their battery life is ever increasing, so it requires specialized equipment that costs tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars, not to mention all of the training that's required. Another area we will cover is what we refer to as mapping the client's digital and physical footprint. Is their home address easy to find online? Are their kids' schools easy to identify online? Does their spouse have a set schedule that is easy to access? We do a digital vulnerability scan that scrubs all that data and more to help identify any cybersecurity risks. And we will also analyze physical vulnerabilities too. We look at their travel routes, their office, their home, their kids' daycare, their gym, and any other locations they frequently go to. We're looking for what we would call cracks in the armor. This is necessary because, well, a determined adversary will find and utilize those cracks if we don't get there first. We'll also run background checks on key personnel, business partners, known individuals who the client will be meeting with, or anyone identified as a potential threat, like a particular vocal ex-employee, for instance. Now, if we see red flags that become credible threats, like an ex-employee's online posts that become dangerously specific, we will then shift gears into active intelligence gathering. This will often include some level of discreet legal surveillance on the person of interest. We want to see what they're doing, where they're going, who they're associating with, are they purchasing firearms or other weapons. This intelligence helps us predict their next move instead of just waiting for it. Then if the threat appears to be real, we can notify authorities and let our counter-surveillance teams, including those conducting physical protection, know about the threat. A big part of protecting the client is to also train the client and their staff on security awareness. This is what we refer to as hardening the target. It essentially makes them part of their own protection team. It makes them more aware of their surroundings, and it helps build a security culture for the entire organization. I am sure there are many of you watching that do executive protection on a regular, maybe even daily basis. I would love to hear your thoughts on the subject and what other measures you employ to safeguard your clients. Now, if you have found this video to be of help or interest, please consider hitting that thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, and if you would like early access to videos every month and access to premium members-only videos, click the join button to learn how to become a PI Guide channel member.